sweeties. I'm glad you decided to come visit with me today. So, anyone who's seeing this recording around the time it was made knows that there is a global pandemic going on. This could be floating around on the internet for God knows how many years. So, if you're not seeing this anywhere around the time it was recorded in 2020, there's a coronavirus pandemic. People are at home, not really going anywhere, and so our usual responsibilities for most of us are adjusted or not even there right now. So this is a time when a lot of us are doing projects that we've been putting off, acting on different ideas, all kinds of stuff that, people have good ideas and then put them off. And none of us have to beat ourselves up about it. It's a thing that everyone does. It's normal, which between me and my kids is almost a bad word. Normal? No, don't call me that. No, but it's normal. It's average. It's okay to have projects and ideas and just cool stuff that you don't immediately act on. But this is just one of those things that I had thought about for quite some time, and now I don't have other obligations outside my home, so here we are. So yeah, that's a normal thing, and it's okay. You get to it when you get to it, but you might want to break it down into little steps and, just start that first step. Okay, so I believe I mentioned in the description I would talk about 613. Why did I put that number in the name of my channel? Does it mean something? Yes, it does. Long ago, somebody went through the Hebrew Bible and counted every time it said, God said do this, God said don't do that, and added them all up, and it's 613. So yeah, if someone tells you there's not just 10 commandments, there's 613, yes. I don't make the news, as they say, I just report it. Okay, so that's a kind of special number to me for that reason, so that's why I used it. And for some people like to say, well, I'm so religious, I do all the commandments. Nobody can do them all, I'm sorry. They might really mean it when they're saying it, but when you really stop and think about it, you can't do them all. Many of them are really specific to who you are, what your position is, and what's happening in your life. For example, I'm going to get earthy for a minute. For example, some commandments are really specific to if you are a woman who has just given birth and is still bleeding. Sorry, that's gross, but it's part of life. There's everything in the Bible, seriously. Yeah, it's interesting stuff. But so there's everything from that to if you are a direct descendant of the high priest and you're in that family line, or in other terms, if you're a Kohen, but and even a lot of the rules for that family line are only relevant to the adult cis males, between, in a very specific age group and, degree of physical well-being and all that. So it's nobody can do them all. So anyone who says, well, I'm so religious, I do everything, and I know that I can tell that you do. No, I'm sorry. That's not how it is, and that's not what the rules are for. It's not so that people can look down their nose at each other, because I believe that we were given the Bible as a blueprint for creating a just and inclusive society. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm checking my notes here. I think it's out of the frame, but I'm checking my notes. Okie dokie, nobody can do them all. Ah, yes. As promised, some Torah verses about honesty, about relationships that we're in. So, here we go. Here's what I found. Now, I will sometimes say biblical names with the Hebrew pronunciation. I will sometimes confirm the English pronunciation also. There's that. The first verse I have to tell you about, I'm not going to quote because there's the Hebrew, there's the English translation. I'm just going to tell you where to find it in your Bible. I'm using Eitz Chaim translation, which does include Hebrew and English. I am not yet fluent in Hebrew. I'm very excited that one day I hope to be, not yet. Okay, here's what I found. So, about being honest about relationships we're in. The first example is Avram and Sarai. That is, well, Avram and Sarai, I mean, I've never heard an English equivalent of it. If you're thinking, that sounds a lot like Abraham and Sarah, yes, but that's before their names were changed. There's actually 2 incidences with them, same couple, pretty much the same thing happened on 2 different occasions. They're traveling, he said, you are my beautiful wife, I do not want them to kill me and have their way with you, so let's just lie and say we're siblings. And she's like, okay, honey. And both times, nobody was harmed according to the story as it was recorded, but there were moments of, why did you lie? You did not have to do that. I wish you hadn't lied. Now go. So the first time that happened, that was in Parshat Lech Lecha. Jews watching this will probably already know this, that we have the Bible chopped up into like sections that are assigned to each week of the year. I don't know if there are Christian traditions that do that. Feel free to mention that in the comments if you want, because I'm actually interested to know if that's a thing. Anyway, so it's in Parshat Lech Lecha, which is in Genesis chapter 12, verses 11 through 19. If you have the Eitz Chaim translation that I have, that's on page 73. The second time, same story, some different detail, is in Parshat Vayera, which is Genesis chapter 20. I didn't specify verse, so I guess it took the whole thing to tell that story that time. And that's page 110. And the next was with the next generation. Same thing happened, a husband and wife traveling, and he said, let's tell them we're siblings because you are beautiful and I don't want them to kill me and have their way with you. But this time it was with Yitzchak and Rivka. That's Isaac and Rebecca. And that was in Parshat Toldot. That's in Genesis chapter 26, verses 7 through 11, page 150 in the Eitz Chaim. Okay, and interesting thing about Yitzchak, about Isaac. In the Hebrew, his name is a play on the word for laughter, and so there's the word that is used for how they got found out, for being husband and wife and rather than siblings, is that they were seen. It could be translated as playing around, which has both the playful connotation and the sexual connotation. So they were caught playing around. Anyway, I love how there's just different layers of meaning within the language, depending on what language it's been translated to from the original Hebrew. It doesn't always translate. I just love that it translates from Hebrew to English like that, and you still get all these different layers of meaning. I may not mention them every time with every verse that I bring up, but I'm just saying it's cool, it's there, it's worth learning, especially if you're a language geek like me. Okay, those are the ones that I was going to mention today. So I'm going to close that so I don't get distracted because I have too many note cards. Okay. Oh, so why am I talking about versus regarding honesty in relationships? Well, obviously, people may want to hide a romantic relationship they're in for any number of reasons. It might be because it's a romantic relationship that is not heterosexual, and you might feel like people aren't going to approve. It just might be a friendship with someone who has a different religious opinion than your circle of family or other friends. It might be you might find someone to befriend who has a different political affiliation. It could be any number of things. And there could be a very real fear, as there was, in these biblical stories of, what bad things might happen if people find out. But as the stories are written, nothing bad happened. And they didn't have to hide their relationship, the true nature of their relationship. So I'm not going to tell you what to do in your situation because you're the one living your situation. But if you have, whether it's a romantic relationship or a new friendship, and you think you need to hide it and you're worried and you're scared, really take some time to stop and think objectively about it and just look at the facts and think, do I really need to be this afraid, or is it really safe for me to, be out with, with this friendship or with this romance? You might be surprised at how many people in your life go, okay, cool, whatever. And that goes for if you're a kid, if you're an adult, you just never know. People might surprise you with their accepting of your situation more than you thought. Oh, back to my notes. Okay, so yeah, just, stop and think if it's a matter of hiding from discomfort or if you're really concerned about a real danger. If you think you are in danger and you need to keep things quiet, then do, because safety is very important. Don't, I'm not going to ever tell you or encourage you to put yourself in any kind of danger, to put anyone in any kind of danger. Some people are braver than others and might feel like that's okay, and do that to prove a point. And there's a time and a place for that, obviously. I'm a coward, so I wouldn't, but anyway. But it all comes back to we need to be the people that we are on the inside. Someone's driving past with their radio up really loud. I don't know if that's coming through on the recording, but oh well. Okay. And so we've got one more thing to mention before our time's up today, and that is to just give yourself a minute or two to just be and to just feel. And some people say focus on your breath. I don't like to do that, but if you want to, focus on your breath. I hope my camera person comes back in the room shortly because we're almost done. Sorry. Okay, just take a moment to breathe and feel the energy. There is a loving, healing energy that flows through the entire universe all the time. It's all around you and it's inside you. And not only is it loving, not only is it healing, but you're part of it. So just let that in. We're all connected. So give yourself a moment. Feel that loving, healing energy, that connectedness that we all share. I'm adding a big hug in there just for you. So with that, I will say, like me if you like me, and I hope to have you come for another visit again really soon. Bye for now.